Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. In this episode of RTHD, I'd like to introduce you guys to the Wagan Slimline 1500 DC to AC inverter. So for those of you who don't know what the inverter is all about, the inverter converts energy from the batteries, for example from solar power, that charges your battery into AC power, which is what you normally use for your devices like your laptop and pretty much any of the devices that you have. So you can actually check out that video where I kind of explain a little bit more about the inverters, especially for solar power and how to set them up. But in this episode, I decided that I wanted to get this 1500 watt DC to AC inverter, and the reason for this this particular inverter is because the other system, the AC kit that I got, the solar kit that I got, it only had a 300 watt inverter, so that allowed only a limited amount of power pulling from the battery. Now the thing is, I only have one battery, so this 300 watt isn't bad. It's going to be able to charge like your laptop. It might be able to run a low powered computer, etc. But this is, this is going to power larger devices. Maybe even they do have things like your microwave, which uses like, I think it's 1200 watts of power, even though it's for a short period of time. So anyways, let's get into the unboxing, because this is the first time I'm going to use it. And I bought this for, I think it's on Amazon for 129 US dollars, which is pretty good. This usually sells for 1500 TT dollars, which is much more than 129. It's actually about 220. So I got it on a really good deal, so that's why I decided to buy it, because I really would use it at some point in time for the solar power system that I have. All right, so the brand is Wagan. I've heard about it before. I've never used a Wagan device, but as you can see, the box shows like solar. It's for solar. It's for, like for when you're on your boat, a yacht, etc. For RV, and what you can use it for. And as you can see, they have already sort of explained a little bit about the solar power going to the batteries, and then the batteries going to this inverter. So I guess I can talk a little bit about it. Now it does says on the box as well to limited warranty, and when I looked at this on Amazon as well, it also stated that it has an overload protection, but it can also handle a surge power of 3,500 watts. And so the reason for that 3,500 watts is, like, sometimes a device, when you now plug it in and you power it up, for example like a fridge, it peaks. It peaks up really high and then goes back down, and I think that's what that is supposed to do. So that's really good, because it doesn't mean you can run it at 3,500 watts. You can't pull that constantly, but you can. It is able to handle that for a short period of time. And I'll get into the box, I think, a little bit later, because it's going to take really long and I don't want to keep you guys back. I do apologize for the audio a little bit, because it's going to be clean and then a little bit out when I focus here and my mic is on the side. I didn't want that to affect the video. So really easy to open up, and they call this the Slimline. I don't know if that's really an appropriate name for the device. And here we have the actual inverter, and what we have here is, wow, some really heavy cables. These are really heavy duty cables. You can feel it. These alone can be pretty expensive. And a really good size manual that comes with it. So we'll have a look at it, and then we'll come back to the box really quickly so that you can get all the specs and so forth as well. So they say it's Slimline, but this doesn't look Slimline to me compared to the other inverter that I have. It does look, this is larger than the 300 watt, which is expected, I guess, because obviously this does a lot more of the audio and a lot more of the electricity, and let's have a look at it. Has to be really well, it's well packaged, I can tell you that much. Nice little bubbly wrap. You know, I always collect these things and I never get around to using these bubbly wraps. It's about, it feels like maybe 1 to 2 pounds in weight. And for those of you who know about inverters, this is going to be pretty boring. But for those of you who don't, well, this is going to be pretty interesting, hopefully. So how the inverter works, as I said, is that you connect these points, the negative and the positive points, negative and positive, to your batteries. All right, yeah, you can see that there. So the negative and the positive, they gave you this, and you connect these to your batteries. And when you do that, pretty much this is going to convert your 12-volt batteries. So let's assume this is your battery here. You connect this up here, and this is going to convert it out to normal power. So if your 12 volt gets converted into 110 volts AC, 12 volts DC to 110 volts AC, and then you plug this in and you can run your normal devices. So the cool thing about this that I noticed is it comes with actually 2 fans, which is great because, you know, it's going to generate some heat and so forth during the conversion. So that's good that it has 2 fans, and it looks really nice and presentable. And you could probably use this for audio in your car as well too, because this can fit under the seat. And I guess that's why they called it the Slimline, because you could probably put this under your seat and wired it up, and so it doesn't show. And on the front, what you see here is 3. So there's actually 3 ports that says per outlet max of 1500 watts. So per outlet is 1500 watts. So that's great. It shows you a power and shows you a fault. So in case you do something wrong here, it's gonna light up and show you the fault. And then it shows you that we actually, in these new ones, they come with USB power too. So that's great because you don't have to walk around with an adapter to use this, because you're going to use too much power if you connect a power adapter to convert to 5 volts. Again, it doesn't make any sense. So it's better to just pull it from the 5 volts to USB here. And it's good that you got 2 of those. And it's nice that it also has an on and off switch, which is pretty good as well, because you don't want to have this thing running on all the time. So one of the things that I should mention here as well is that these inverters, they actually use power even when they're connected. And so what's interesting is that my other inverter, it doesn't even have a power button like this. So it's gonna constantly keep draining the system. And so that's kind of important for me, and so this is going to hopefully help that. Now, it does says that it uses some standby power, and I'm assuming that's when it's on, but I'm going to have to test that out. So that's where I want to bring this box with all the info in it to show you guys what I mean, because even though all this is nice, it's pretty much not going to be useful for a video per se. So I'm just going to move that aside for a second, and let me just show you guys the box again. Put this back together, and I'll go through some of the specs on the box, because it's really important to understand what's going on here and why this is such, it's a pretty good advice. So it shows you also, they have like a sample appliance where they show you what uses what sort of wattage. So you have like AM FM radio will use 50 to 200 watts. Standard light bulb, which we know uses about 100 watts. Incandescent, I think, and of course fluorescent uses like less than 20, so you can use that. A blender, coffee maker uses 600 to 1500. A refrigerator uses 800 to 2400 watts. So that's why it's really important to get one that has this surge of power, because in cases where the refrigerator needs to power on, it's going to surge. And then it's going to surge up to maybe something like 2400 and then go back down to maybe the 1500 limit. So it's something that the 300 watt inverter that you get with most of those kits, those are fairly cheap inverters. They're not going to be able to do that. They'll probably fry before that happens. So you got to be really careful with that. And that's the reason why these are really important. And I think this is also a sine, which we'll get to, sine wave, which is good and safe for your devices. So yeah, it explains that, and what it also explains here is that continuous power, so it can actually run at 1500 watts of continuous power, and the surge is 3500 watts. And what's interesting here is that the output waveform is modified sine wave, and you should be looking for that when you're really ordering a good inverter. And what's interesting is that it also has the no load current draw, which is less than 0.95 amps. Now that's pretty high, I have to say, because 1 amp is that's fairly high. If you leave that on for a while, it's going to drain as well as system. So I'm assuming that the power button is going to switch that off, so it doesn't actually draw that sort of that load. And so yeah, that's the reason why I bought this one as well too. And the AC outlets are the standard Neimer outlets, that's not specified there. And it shows you it can actually do 2 by 3.0 shared 5 volts. So the USB actually allows you 3.5. I don't know if you could read that there, but it actually allows you 3.0 amps shared. So you can actually pretty much charge some of the fairly fast charge your USB devices from it as well too. So that's going to be handy for that. And the weight of the unit, it's actually 5.2 pounds. I was totally wrong on that one. So yeah, so basically this is gonna be used for more high-end devices. You're gonna use this more for like your boat, even like an electric burner. I don't think you want to use that to drain your batteries for very long, but you can use that for like an electric stove, that kind of thing, where you're just desperate to get some power in. And so I hope that this video was a little bit interesting. It doesn't go into I'm not going to do a demonstration of it because I don't know how useful that is going to really be. I guess the real test is after I use it for a little while, then I'll be able to kind of report on whether this is, it continues to work great and it does what it has to do. But from all intents, the reviews and stuff are saying that it's great and it works. So that's the main thing at this point in time. So I guess I probably introduced some of you guys to what the inverters are and why you really need them as well. So you really need them just so that you can convert your battery power into AC power. So with that being said, thank you so much for viewing this video, and if you did like it, please make sure to hit the like button for more and make sure to subscribe. And I'll see you guys again soon on another episode of RTHD coming to a YouTube screen near you. Take care. Bye-bye.